Hey everyone, Rick here with the Ditch Pig, and I'm super excited today because we're going to be installing the Holley EFI gauges. To start with, we don't need much for tools, just a couple Phillips head screwdrivers. Just got to pull these screws off of here and get this bezel plate off. Okay, just to make it a little easier on myself, I'm going to pull the steering wheel off. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. I got this puller here, so it'll make it a lot easier. And that way I just got full range of usability with everything here. So we pretty much got a full-on downpour here now. Thunder, lightning, all that good stuff. I had to put the dog inside. She's just about crapping herself. So yeah, but they had forecasted this, so I knew it was a chance. But I'm nice and cozy in here, fogging the windows up in the old Ditch Pig. Just gotta pull all these little screws out for this thing. As you can see, I got this all hacked up from where I had my other gauges in it. But that doesn't matter, I don't think. As long as the bezel screws down flush on it, we're good. So that's what you need right there. I got a cut in this one because that's where I had to cut it to put through the line for the sensor for the coolant temperature. I'll have to ream this out big enough to fit, I think I'll put the fuel gauge there. The speedometer, that can come out. She can! Now I'm not 100% sure, but I think I may have to cut these out in order to get those gauges in. Some of the gauge clusters have a piece that comes out like this, and some of them don't. I'm pretty sure I got to get rid of this stuff. Not 100% sure, but yeah, I'm 100% sure. So I'll have to pull this and cut those down. Okay, so that's out. I just had this harness plugged in the back just to keep it out of the way. I don't think I even need anything that's in it, but it's there. Use that for my high beams because I didn't have it hooked up to the magnetic strip wiring that's on the back of these things. I just had this thing drilled right here and I had the light shoved down in there just so it would shine a blue light through there when I hit high beam. But so yeah, it looks like we're pretty much good to go to start hacking this thing up to get it so that the gauges will fit into it. So I'm just cutting these pieces off here. I've been using this oscillating tool. Works pretty good. I don't know how I'm going to make it with these ones because I got to get lower on those. Inside of here, I'll probably try to go this way. It's going to be a bit of a butcher job, but it doesn't really matter because you're never going to see it. What I need is the width of this nut. I need to clearance that. So yeah, I got to do that, then find out what I got to cut for this too to get the tach and speedometer in. So we just thread these on the back. This is like what I said, I needed the depth a little lower for that. Line your gauge up to approximately where you want it type of deal. Let's feed these wires down through the previous hole that was there for the light. Yeah, so that'll work perfect. So that takes care of those four. Now all I got left is this stuff potentially. I haven't checked the fit yet, but there's that, that, and that. And then the speedometer and tach will fit. Okay, another thing I forgot was in order to get these to fit in here, I've got to clearance this. It's basically all this beveled stuff's going to go. So I think what I'll do is run a utility knife around here. Got both of these out of there. So that's basically how it goes. Then you just put your lock ring on the back. It's a fine line cutting on that bevel. It's like almost too big, but like I say, once the ring's on there in the back, the locking ring, it won't matter. Yeah, so I do have to clearance those right there in order to get that to fit. Need that to drop down level, so that's how much I got to cut out. Just look how good those look. I'm super stoked to see those in action. Can't wait. All right, let's get this trimmed up.
Hours later.
Alright, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we should have it. Yes, sir! Perfect. Okay, let's get all the gauges put into this thing and see how it looks. Oh yeah, I'm loving it. All right, let's see if they fit into this thing here. Okay, I got a little bit of binding on this side. It's probably where those holes have rough edges on them, but everything else looks good. Second thought, that might be too high. I might not have cut that low enough.
4 hours later.
Okay, the next hurdle that we got to cross is I got to take these holes here down a little bit. I'm going to use this feather edger to do it. I've already started working on this side a little bit. I only probably need not even 1/4 of an inch, and it's only on mostly this top side edge. It's because of these bezels, but I can't take them off because otherwise the glass comes out. So I got to leave them on there, so I got to adjust for that. Alright, I got them all mounted in there. They fit pretty good. Some of them could be centered a little better, but I'm not going for perfection. I'm going for get it back together, and it should look pretty good. I ended up not using the feather edger. I ended up using this sander. It was way easier, way quicker. The only real concern was the rough edges when you do it. But these, as soon as they cool off, they snap right off. So you get a nice finish on the edge of it. It didn't change the look of it any. So yeah, I did take a fair amount off, but not a crazy amount. But yeah, now just to get them wired up. Alright, I'm getting this thing wired up, and I've run into a bit of a roadblock. As you can see, all your gauges daisy chain together with these connectors. Too easy, piece of cake. Except, I've got to go from here to here with a cable that long. So, there's the issue. The first one I'm going to plug into is on this. This is your module for the gauges. You have to have one for when you hook up your gauges. That just plugs into there, but I've still got to make this stretch, and I don't have a cable long enough. So I could buy one, or I could move my tack so that it sits in the place where the speedometer is. I don't really want to do that. I like the speedometer being on the left side, the tack being on the right. So here's what I plan on doing. I took my daisy chain that's too short anyways, and I cut it. I'm going to take this power harness and cut this. This has got enough wires in it to do it. It's just a 3-wire hookup, so I'll just do that, put the black tape to her, and I'll stretch it from there to there. Problem solved. So I ran into my next roadblock. I'll show you what's going on here. I've got it solved already. It's not a huge deal, but it just meant digging out that cutting tool again. So these daisy chains, the plugs, I ran into an issue with them hitting this stuff. Now, as you can see, I've cut this down a few times, and as I mentioned before, you can get one of these things without these pillars in it. If you have the opportunity to do that, that saves a lot of time and energy. I mean, it's not a huge deal. I mean, looking at it now, I would have just cut way more out to begin with. I kept doing it in stages. You got to make room for those daisy chains. The plugs, the cables that go in, they've got to be clearanced in that those pillars. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. But it's done. They fit in. And now I'll be able to do the wiring. Just as simple as that. So yeah, I've got room for 2 more if I need them, which I don't plan on it anyway. This is for the sending unit for the fuel gauge. That's plugged in. Right here we got the wire going for the GPS sensor for the speedometer. This is the last link in the daisy chain, and that is what you wire up to the computer and your power source. Simple as that. So now I just got to get this laid into place in the truck, and like I say, wire up the control module there that's daisy chained in. This I won't mess with. The wires going to the sending unit. I won't mess with that until I get the fuel cell, and I will have to mount this GPS thing. I'll probably throw that on the dash up close to where the windshield is to run this bad boy. Then the gauge package will be done. I'm gonna call it for tonight, but I'll be back at this as soon as possible and get it finished up so that I can see these gauges lit up. I can't wait to see them. Okay everyone, we're back at it again. It's Saturday and I'm at work, and I figured I'd take my break time and just try and get some of this knocked out. There's not too much left, just the wiring and then putting everything back together basically, and then I'll have gauges in the pig. To start, this is what we've got to get hooked up. Sending unit wire for the fuel gauge. We can just leave that for right now because I don't have a sending unit to hook up to. We got our main power harness, which like I mentioned before, you have the possibility of hooking 8 gauges to it. So everything is hooked to that. So all we need is power and ground to this. The next thing is the GPS antenna. I'm gonna try and set it up here somewhere, probably in this area. It can go through glass and it'll see enough of the satellite to read, hopefully. Otherwise I'll put it on the cowl outside. This is magnetic, but where I'm putting it inside, I'll just use double-face tape. Set it like that, and then I'll zip tie up the rest of the wire so it's not hanging under there. Last but not least, we need power to the module, the gauge module. So that's not a big deal. Power and ground, and this wire here, white with a black stripe, it has to go into this connector here, the JA1 connector. You've got to put that black and white wire on that second white plug down. You have to pull that out. That's an A15 connector, and that's for gauges. So you just pull that little plug out, then you slide this pin in. Once it's locked in, you're good to go. So that's as hard as the wiring is for this. It's pretty simple. So I'll pull the plug out of that, put that pin in. As far as the rest of the wiring goes, I need my headlight wire, which is this one. It's got a few things connected to it already. I've got it spliced in a few different spots. I'll just tie into that right here. So when I turn the headlights on, this has power. Then I need keyed 12-volt power. This pink wire with the black stripe, that was in my gauge thing here. That has keyed power. I just cut that off and I'll just splice into that because I don't need it for anything. Nothing in this I use anymore. I think there's 2 or 3 other wires in this that are powered with the key on. So I just leave them in there and I plug that into the back of the gauge cluster, but there's nothing in there to hook into. And then I'll run a ground right here and it's a done deal. This thing will be wired up. Then it'll just be a matter of putting this back into there. Now I've got my steering wheel back in place, obviously, because I'm driving this thing, so that'll be a little bit more of an inconvenience, but nothing too serious. I got a couple brakes left today, so hopefully between the 2 of them, I'll be able to have this in and wired up and have gauges by the end of the shift. Okay, everything's wired up. I'm gonna take the time to like hook some stuff up to this other harness so it's taped back and out of the way and not just flopping around. But everything is wired with the exception of the white and black wire that has to be pinned. So I'm going to pull the pin on that now. We need the first plug that's on the left. We need A15, which is this one. So there's that. Don't need that anymore. And then we just got to run our wire across. And plug it into that port. Instructions say you got to push on this thing. I assume that allows that to slide through. And there we go. It's out flush with the hole. So that's good to go. Now all I gotta do is put some black tape or something around this. Maybe stick this inside of this sheath just to protect it a bit. Later on, I'll put some wire loom the whole length of this to protect that wire. But yeah, we should be able to plug everything back in and power it up and see if it works. Okay, before I fully get this thing installed, put back in the dash, computer's all hooked up, the power's turned back on. I'm just gonna flash it up and see if it works. Okay, so the gauges did their thing, they do their sweep. Everything's working. Perfect. All right, let's get them thrown in the dash and buttoned up. Okay, gauges are installed. They're all working correctly. I don't have this bezel piece in yet because I am gonna put a switch in here somewhere, so I'm gonna do that before I put that back in. Or as of right now, the tach's working, oil pressure, voltage, the temperature's coming up. And like I say, until I hook this up to a sending unit, the fuel gauge won't work. So now I'll be able to customize this to hold other gauges that I want to use. Like I said in the other video, there's 100 things that you can put on that thing. So I'll customize that, set it up for some other stuff. Once I get that switch installed into that bezel, I'll put that back in and it'll be complete, basically. I'll also throw a clip in tonight after it gets dark, when you turn the headlights on and everything lights up. That's going to be the focal point of this for me, because I really like the way gauges look at nighttime. Okay, they are installed completely and ready to roll. So this is what they look like. Ta-da! So the bezel's all in and everything now. I put that switch in that I was talking about. It's going to be for the rock lights when I finally get around to getting those hooked up. So now all I have to do is get the fuel cell for the sending unit to be hooked up, hook up the rock lights, and everything will be done. So yeah, I think 30 miles an hour is 50K. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Ditch Pig Experience.